Hey, hello, and welcome to my workbench. So what I wanted to do here was try to see what would happen if you dyed epoxy. And I probably could have used some kind of real dye, but the ink left over in this pen that was rattling around in my car was a lot more readily at hand. So I remember when I was a kid that my dad told me that there was enough ink in an ink pen to make a whole wall, to paint a whole wall. And so I never forgot that. That was, I don't know, 20 years ago. And so when I was thinking, how am I going to color this epoxy? Because when I put it in this knife, it's just going to be, well, epoxy colored. And so I thought about it, and the first thing that popped in my head was like, well, what if I put some ink in it out of an ink pen in there? That would definitely change the color. And so what I was obviously going for was black. But what ended up happening was this really pretty amber color. And it really worked out because it matched the wood really nicely. Now maybe if I'd used a lot more ink it would have turned black, but I'm not sure. I don't think so. And I used an entire tube of epoxy gluing this knife together to try to fill the gaps between the handle. So this is me setting it up, letting it dry, and now it's dry. It's hardened up pretty good.
Stupid focus.
So after the epoxy dried, I went to shaping the handle, and there is a tremendous amount of gratuitous wood rasping shots here in a second. And I clamped it up on the table like this so it would be vertical. Oh, right, here's where I tried to use a plane. That's just a little hand plane I had laying around. It's relatively sharp. I haven't used it very much in the time I've had it, but this red oak did not want a plane, so that didn't work out. So I went back to the wood rasp. And at this point I'm just trying to rasp it down to where the epoxy is, honestly, so I can get a nice even finish. And then there was a place to put a ferro rod, a little notch, right near the base of this machete. So I cut the handle away from that so you could get to it, and then I tried to file everything down with the wood rasp. And that's just a cheap wood rasp I got probably from Horrible Freight in a pack of files and stuff for $10. So the wood rasp is probably worth $1. I wish I could get my hands on a real good wood rasp, but I haven't been able to find one in the store anywhere. I'll probably just have to order one. Now I'm shaping the back of the handle where it's more hand shaped. Here's where I got the good idea to make up a jig so this thing would be a little bit more secure than it was bit down into that wood. Here I'm trying to do the front of the handle, and I'm trying to make some finger holes. See, I got some finger holes there. I guess I jumped to that part. And there's a lot of gratuitous rasping. Feels pretty good at this point. Now it just needs to be smoothed out real good. Knock the corners off of it. This was a pretty labor-intensive process, all in all, but it was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing this, and the whole time I was doing it, I was kind of just letting the handle speak to me. I didn't have a plan, obviously, but just one step at a time, kind of stovepiped it together. And as with anything, some 80 grit sandpaper there. As with anything I do it one step at a time, and I just let whatever I'm working on, I let it tell me what shape it wants to be in, instead of trying to force it into the shape that I want it to be in, because I used to do that and it never worked out. So now I just do I get an idea in my head, something not necessarily what I want it to look like, but how I think I can do it, and I start doing it that way. And then I just let the piece, like I said, cutting up the sandpaper into little strips, I just let the piece tell me what shape it wants to be in. Like I said before, it's pretty simple, and I find my work is a lot more enjoyable that way, and things go a lot smoother. And when I'm done, I always come out with something that I like a lot better. Plus, there's a heck of a lot less planning at a time. You know, sometimes I just want to build something, and I just want to go out there, and I just want to make something. 100 grit. And so I go out there and I get an idea in my head of, I see what I have and what tools I have and what materials I have and how much time I have. 400 grit sandpaper. And I try to make something. So right now this 400 grit is really putting a smooth finish on that hard red oak. Red oak's not a hardwood, but it's very hard wood. And it has a beautiful color. Right now obviously you can't see it. But you can kind of see how the epoxy turned out. Number one, it's not clear at all. It's more of an amber color, and it's had a lot of bubbles in it. I'd need a shaker or something to get rid of those bubbles. But it all came out pretty good. Oh, actually, it all came out really good. The guy who this machete is for is a friend of mine. It's actually his son. Someone gave him this machete, and it's a really nice machete. The steel is harder than a drill bit. I tried to drill some pins in the handle after all of this, and my drill bits just skated across it. I about burned up 2 drill bits and a file trying to work on this thing. So I don't know what it's made out of, but it's incredibly hard. Some kind of super high carbon stainless, or maybe high nickel, something like that. Excuse me, not high nickel. Yeah, it might be high nickel stainless. So feels really good in my hand. And the kid, his hand's about my size, even though he's only 15 years old. And now I'm just going to put some linseed oil on the handle to bring out the color and the grain. You want to shake it up a little bit. And no need to read the directions. Don't really need gloves to put linseed oil on since it's a natural material, but it just keeps my hands clean. So there it is. There's the knife handle and the dyed epoxy, and the next couple of shots you can really see the wood grain and the amber color that came out. It almost perfectly matches the red oak, and I was really happy with the way it came out. So I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope you come back to see my next one. Goodbye and God bless.